I just got home from watching the Revenge of the Sith re-release, the 20th anniversary in theaters. Um, I don't really have anything to talk about today, so I'm gonna recap the story and maybe find a message out of it that you can learn from. Movie goes, we follow Anakin and Obi-Wan meeting with Emperor Palpatine, and they kill Count Dooku, and then this is when we see Anakin uh, become the new apprentice for Mr. Palpatine, and then all the evil shit starts happening, right? Now, the main point of the movie is Anakin's his tug of war between the light and the dark, the Jedi and Emperor Palpatine and the ways of the Sith, right? He is torn between wanting to be a good person and defend the ways of the Jedi, or learning the dark side of the Force, and so he can save his wife. Movie goes on, he gets tricked into being a bad guy, and he dies on Mustafar, right? What I really want to talk about here is, I guess, Anakin's whole inner dilemma of his emotions being twisted and played with by Emperor Palpatine in order to get his way, right? What I took from the film, this is my first time seeing it. What I took from the film is that, other than obvious story narrative, right, of he has to turn evil for a New Hope to make sense, right? I was more focused on the fact that Anakin, he allows his emotions to drive a lot of his actions. He allows himself to let anger um, be at the wheel and drive. He drives a lot of his actions. He kills Mace Windu because he's angry about how he's trying to assassinate the Emperor. He's mad at Mace Windu again for not being granted title of Master, and because of that, he's more weary of them, and he's mad at, I guess, the fact that he's getting visions of Padme dying because it reminds him of the ones he gets with his mother. So he's very much driven by these very volatile emotions in order to keep himself moving. These are all of his decisions are purely based on emotion, and because of that, Padme dies, everyone dies. He's fucking, he has no limbs, right? And he's in a robot suit being still being puppeted by Emperor Palpatine, right? If there's anything that we as the audience can learn from Anakin's actions, is that we shouldn't allow ourselves to be driven by our emotions. At least, like, he is mostly, all of his decision making is based on his emotions, based on his desire to keep Padme alive, right? Based on his distrust towards the Jedi Council because of the ongoing politics between them and the Senate and the Emperor Palpatine, whatever. He allows his emotions to drive the entire story forward instead of thinking critically and listening to those around him, other than Palpatine, of course, right? And I understand this doesn't fully work as an analogy because Palpatine is like manipulating him the entire time. But I'm using this as an example for like just basic terms here. What I grabbed from the film really is that decision making without critical thinking and without second thought is very dangerous and can lead to situations in which you can't take them back. They're very permanent decisions, right? Anakin can't get his limbs back. You know, he's stuck as 50% robot. He's a cyborg now. You know, and that's we have to just take what I took from that is that whenever making decisions, whenever trying to handle situations and get through life, you always have to just take a second to rationalize your decision making. Because making impulse decisions, very impulse decision making, right? As Anakin, as soon as he kills Mace Windu, he immediately turns um and takes the title of Darth Vader, right? Instead of going, "Hey, Mr. Palpatine, you're still evil." Because at that point, he still knows he's evil, but when given the promise that he can save his wife, that is when he turns. He turns once he realizes that is how what he ultimately wants is to save his wife because he can't go through that emotional pain again. He immediately turns to the dark side right there. Not immediately, but that's when that's his first turning point, right? What I'm trying to say is that decision making cannot be impulsive. You have to take time, especially with important decisions in your life. You can't allow your emotions to blind you because more often than not, decisions made out of impulsive like emotions, they tend to not be the correct decisions, and they tend to leave you in spots that are very uncomfortable to work through. So the moral of this one, really, think before you act, I guess. The movie was great. I liked it. Scenes looked awful though. Very, very much you can tell it was very much made 20 fucking years ago, but it's a good watch. I enjoyed it. Thank you.